Hey, FantasySportFans.com. How's my Fantasy Sport Fan Nation doing out there today? Corey, say hello to our Fantasy Sport Fans Nation.
Hello, Fantasy Sport Fans Nation.
All right, so...
Was that good enough for you?
You know, I liked it.
Okay, good.
I liked it. I thought it was real good. I thought it was
I've been trying to work on my opening, but I don't think I have it down yet.
Really?
Yeah.
You should be like, Fantasy Sport Fans.
FantasySportFans.com.
Yeah? Oh, yeah, I like that. .com.
.com.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so check this out. We're going to have our first ever fantasy football divisional roundup.
What does that even mean, Seth?
Man, what we're going to do, we're going to evaluate each week 2 teams from the same division. We're going to figure out, you know, who's really got the better looking division or team in the division, should I say.
They're skill players?
They're skill players according, should I say, how it's going to relate to fantasy football. You know, not who's going to be the better team in the division, but overall in the division, who's got the better fantasy players. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
All right, man. So check this out. We're going to start off today. We're going to the West. In the NFC, we're hitting San Francisco, and we're hitting Seattle.
That's going to be a tough division out there. I do know that for sure.
That alone is just a huge rivalry. When I even sit here and think about it, or should I say stand, because that's what I'm doing right now.
I'm sitting.
You are sitting.
A little more comfortable that way.
So, okay, check this out. Here we go. Quarterbacks. So,
which team are we going to go over first?
I tell you what, let's do the hot topic. Everybody loves talking about this guy, Colin Kaepernick, who I believe you have as your number 1 ranked best quarterback coming into this year. I do. I think he is the number 1 QB that's going to be in fantasy football this year. So that's just me, though. You know, I mean,
he's going to be good.
I think he will be. I think he's going to be amazing. I don't even think he's going to be good. I think he's going to surpass good. I think he's going to be amazing. This guy had a phenomenal career in just a half season that he really played for the 49ers, and he's only going to improve. And then, of course, how are you feeling about that guy?
All I know is he had 1,800 yards passing. He had 10 touchdowns. If you double those numbers, that gives you close to 4,000 yards, and that gives you right around 20 touchdowns passing the ball. But then if you're looking on the other side, he rushes the ball. He had like 400-something rushing yards. He had 5 touchdowns, double that. What does that give you? 800 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. He could very easily surpass that. I mean, he only played 8 games. He's going to be good as long as he doesn't get hurt. They added Anquan Bolden. He's going to have weapons. He'll be a great quarterback.
Now, the only thing I can question on Colin Kaepernick, and I'm gonna present this question to you, is, do you think the reason why he was so successful last year is nobody really had a chance to really prepare for this guy? Or is it just because he's Colin Kaepernick and he just knows how to get stuff done on the field?
Well, it's not like they just saw him for a game or two. They had 8 games they could go back and look on film for him, and they still couldn't stop him. I mean, I just think he has that skill set. He has the arm. He has the legs. If he stays healthy, if he continues to do what he's doing, he's going to be good.
All right, so moving on. Let's go a little bit further into San Francisco now, and let's go into the heart of what their game is on the offense, which, let's just face it, they have an arsenal, the running game. You got Frank Gore. You've got Kendall Hunter. And you have a running back who's poised to be good at some point, and which is LaMichael James.
LaMichael James, yeah, and I don't even know why they drafted LaMichael James, to be honest with you. They had so many running backs last year. They had Brandon Jacobs, Frank Gore, all these players. None of them really got, other than Frank Gore, none of them got much opportunity, you know, and they just keep adding that position.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody got more opportunity than anybody that was in that whole thing, other than Frank Gore, it was Kendall Hunter. And Kendall Hunter, he's awesome when he's on the field. You know, he's an animal, he's a workhorse, but he just doesn't get the playing time, but he's always a great backup to Frank Gore in case Frank Gore goes down.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Gore had 1,200 yards rushing. He had 8 touchdowns rushing. He had 200 yards receiving. He had a receiving touchdown. And then you look at the next guy, Kendall Hunter, 371 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns, only 60 yards receiving. He's not a big catch the ball out of the backfield, but they have a good duo between those two. And then once LaMichael James did come back, he only had 27 attempts, but with those attempts, he had 125 yards, That's like 4.6 yards a carry. That's not bad right there.
That's like one game. On a starting running back.
Yeah, and he had 125 yards, so he's going to be good if they can get him the ball. And he'll go undrafted in fantasy.
Yeah, moving on. Let's go tight ends. Obviously, we have the departure of Delanie Walker. He's headed to the Tennessee Titans, so that solely leaves that position right back to the man, Vernon Davis. Can we say Vernon Davis will reemerge?
Yeah, he should. He started doing better towards the end of last year. Him and Colin Kaepernick, I think they were a little off, the first few games. It seemed like Colin Kaepernick threw it to Delanie Walker a lot more than Vernon. And I'm not sure if Vernon got kind of butthurt about it, or if he just kind of held it like a man. But towards the end of the year, he caught a lot of balls. He caught some touchdowns. He ended up with 500 and some odd yards, 5 touchdowns, which isn't bad, but I just want to see what he can do with Colin Kaepernick as the main quarterback all year long.
And, I agree with that. And for those of you that do want to know, the person right behind him is Selleck. His name is actually Garrett Selleck. And
Brent Selleck's brother, is it?
I believe they are one of the same people.
I think so. I'm pretty sure they're related. I've never heard of the last name Selleck so much. Selleck.
Especially in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's going to be the other guy right behind Vernon Davis. So for those of you who are wondering who's going to be the man right behind him, that is the man. But moving on even from that.
Receivers.
I love wide receivers.
Yeah.
And one of my new favorite wide receivers for this coming year is actually in this depth chart.
And in your top 5 at that.
He is in my top 5.
You're telling me that you would start him as your number 1 receiver on your fantasy team? You would draft this guy in the 2nd round?
You know what? Yes. And think of this. And I'm just going to say this. If you are drafting number 10 and you have an opportunity, and an opportunity probably will be there, but if you can draft at the number 10 spot, because think about it, we're looking at a snake draft now. Mm-hmm. You're drafting back-to-back in 2 rounds. I'm taking Colin Kaepernick and I'm taking Michael Crabtree. That duo right there could possibly win your fantasy football league this year.
Yeah, but you should be able to get Crabtree in the 3rd round. I mean, I don't think he's going to be
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. But, for those of you who do want to draft smart and you're looking for a solid number 1 receiver, look to Crabtree. He will be a legit one.
Yeah, he did have 1,100 yards. He had 9 touchdowns. He had a really good year, and part of that was with Alex Smith.
Well, yeah, but how much part of that? And that's what that's what I really want to find out.
More of it was with Kaepernick, obviously.
Exactly. Those 1,100 yards, I promise you, majority of that was with Kaepernick. He had a phenomenal second half of the season. But guess what? Guess when Colin Kaepernick came in? Oh, it was the second half of the season. So that's what I'm saying. But moving on, wide receivers, you got Crabtree, you got Bolden, you even have Manningham if that guy will ever stay healthy. And moving on, you got Kyle Williams still there, you got AJ Jenkins, and of course, right there in the off-season free agency, they went ahead and picked up Marlon Moore, and you have Joe Hastings here. So, they're trying to make some moves, in the wide receiver core, but no matter what, your top 2 is going to be Crabtree and it's going to be Bolden.
I'm kind of curious to see how Anquan Bolden and Kaepernick are going to be together. I don't know if it's going to be like a 1-2, Crabtree 1, Bolden 2, or if it's going to be more of a 1-1 type of thing. Anquan Bolden had a so regular season last year. He had 900 yards. He only had 4 touchdowns. He wasn't a big red zone threat. But then once he got into the playoffs, in the playoffs alone, he had 4 touchdowns. So if that's any kind of foreseeing the future, Anquan Bolden might outplay Crabtree.
You really believe Bolden could outplay Crabtree?
He had 4 touchdowns and 400 yards in 4 games.
And that was thrown by a guy named Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and who do you have ranked higher, Colin Kaepernick or Joe Flacco?
And Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that he could have a better year. He's getting kind of old. He's getting kind of up there, but I think he's still a legit number 3. I would love to have him as my 3rd receiver, but he'll probably more go in the 2nd tier, the second receiver on a team.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. And of course, you do have one of our top-ranked kickers. You have Phil Dawson there.
Phil Dawson.
And I believe in San Fran. I think he will do good. I think this is a great fit for this guy.
7 of 7 from 50 yards.
There you go.
29 of 31 field goal attempts made. That is good. That is good numbers right there. Those cannot go wrong. Numbers. But the only number that's an issue is his age, 38. Kind of iffy about that.
Yeah, you know what, though? I mean, look at some kickers here, like in the recent years. I mean, kickers are getting older, and you know what? They're still able to nail a field goal from many yards away. And I don't think age really plays more of a factor into a kicker, probably as it does into a wide receiver or a quarterback or a running back. I think that kicker's age is probably more of a non-factor than anything, as long as they can get up in the air and that ball is doing the same thing. All right, so moving along here, we need to talk about one last thing about San Fran, and let's go right into Defense. So you have a completely loaded squad. Not to mention, it's now becoming a veteran squad. These guys have been together for a while. They play like it, and let's just say the score on the scoreboard is showing. So the defense is just amazing. Just name off a few guys. Corey, why don't you take that away?
Navarro Bowman, Justin Smith, Alden Smith. I don't really want to pronounce the guy's name who they lost because you just gave me a hard time about it, but what is his name?
Deshaun Goldson. He went to Tampa.
Not Golston, apparently. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. But yeah, they have a good defense. Last year they went pretty high. They went pretty high in fantasy rounds, and they only ended up as the 8th best fantasy defense.
Yeah.
So maybe if you draft them a little later and they'll still give you top 5 production, you should be good to go with them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can go wrong with this defense. Yeah, just make sure you're taking them definitely in the later rounds. Definitely don't go too early on this team. But anyhow, that's part 1 of our divisional roundup. So listen in for part 2. That's coming up next.
Seahawks.
Hey, Seth here with FantasySportFans.com. Hey, be sure to enter your name and your email on our website to get instant access to our free beginner's guide of fantasy football. By subscribing, you will get free Fantasy Sport Fans updates, tips, and Fantasy Sport Fan news with no spam.